My question is to the Minister of Housing. Does he stand by Housing New Zealand's commitment that the Tamaki Transformation Project will not reduce the existing number of state houses in the Tamaki area? If so, why?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, I stand by the corporation increasing the number of state houses across wider Auckland. The number of state houses in central and east Auckland, which Tamaki is part of, will also see that increase. In the streets of Tamaki, where state houses are at concentrations of 56%, numbers will decrease as state house concentrations of 56% are far too high.
I beg your pardon, Moana Mackey, supplementary.
Did he or anyone in his office instruct Housing New Zealand to remove this document from their website after questions were lodged this morning, a document which clearly states Housing New Zealand's commitment that the Tamaki Transformation Project will not reduce the existing number of state houses in the Tamaki area?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, no one in my office instructed Housing New Zealand to remove that document off the website. The document was on the website. I'm advised it came from a policy under the previous government where state houses were allowed to be on quarter-acre sections, state houses at concentrations of 57%, and state houses where tenants lived in old and cold and mouldy conditions. I was ashamed of that 2008 policy. I'm glad it's been removed.
What point of order, Moana Mackey?
I seek leave to table the document from the Housing New Zealand website that was removed this morning.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There's no objection. Carol Beaumont.
How will the Minister ensure that the number of state houses... what has changed that means that the commitment to not reducing the existing number of state houses in the Tamaki area is being undermined, as evidenced by the Northern Glen Innes redevelopment, which will reduce the number of state houses from 156 to 78, and even with another 39 owned by other social housing providers, the number is still only 117.
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, what has changed is the government. I cannot defend state houses being on quarter-acre sections. I cannot defend concentrations of 57%. I cannot defend having tenants in old, cold and mouldy houses. The member is defending it. The member is failing miserably.
Carol Beaumont.
When he said yesterday that he would expect that the tenants from Northern Glen Innes have the usual, quote, bunch of options, end quote, like relocating back to their community, does that mean that this document by Housing New Zealand is wrong when it states that, quote, all transfers will be permanent? And can I tell the community that they have the choice to move back to their existing community if there is a suitable house for them to return to?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, my understanding is the document has been removed. It's based on old Labor Party policy of quarter-acre sections, 57% densities and old, cold and mouldy state houses. We are ashamed of the document. The document has gone and I'm glad of it.
Point of order, is it? Point of order, Carol.
So I wish to table this document, Mr Speaker, which is actually from this week,
Order.
From
Order.
Housing New Zealand.
I appreciate the member making clear she says she wishes to leave to table this document. The document is?
The document is dated 26 September 2011 and is general questions and answers that was provided to me in a briefing by Housing New Zealand, which clearly talks about transfers being permanent.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
I wonder if, in light of that clarification, whether the Minister wants to correct his reply.
Order.
Because he did
No, it is not a point of order, and the member has already erred twice today during raising points of order where he has attacked various members of the House under a point of order, and I won't tolerate that. Moana Mackey, supplementary question.
Supplementary to the Minister, can he confirm that the Tamaki Transformation Programme under the previous government was also going to utilise existing land better, was also going to reduce the concentration of state housing, but that Labor made a commitment to the people of Tamaki that the number of state houses would not be reduced? And when was he planning to tell the people of Tamaki that that commitment has changed?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, I can confirm that that was the Labor Party commitment in 2002, in 2003, in 4, in 5, in 6, in 7 and 8. Unfortunately, nothing ever happened. We're not having high densities, quarter-acre sections or old, cold and mouldy houses.
Moana Mackey.
What will he do to allay the fears of Northern Glennon Estate House tenants that they're being squeezed out of their neighbourhood because it's now deemed too valuable for them to stay in, given the halving of state house numbers in their community, and in light of comments made by his recently appointed Tamaki Transformation Interim Board Chair, Lee Mathias, who also happens to be Sam Lotoainga's National Party electorate chair, when she said that Glennis is lovely, it's just a shame it was built for working families from neighbouring Mount Wellington.
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, the only fear that Tamaki residents have is that Labor will get back into government and they'll have to stay in their old, cold and mouldy houses. We are not halving the number of houses in Tamaki, but we are not putting up with quarter-acre sections, 57% densities, and as I say, old, cold and mouldy houses.
Question number 11, Rahui Katane. Order.